We are the fourth. We are Wisconsin.
He's going after the first pitch. That's trouble. That's going to cost the Brewers a run. And there's a shot hit back into deep left field. There's Addison Russell. Gone! And that's hit well into center field.
Anthony Rizzo sends one deep to right.
And that is gone. Christian Yelich has a nice swing going.
Baez whistles one. It hits Baez, and he will score. And we're all tied up.
Beautiful view of Grant Park here in Chicago. It is a perfect day for baseball. We're at Wrigley Field this afternoon. It's the Brewers and the Cubs, the first of two as division rivals. Well, it may take on a whole new meaning here this afternoon, and that's because the standings look like this. The Brewers 3 behind the Chicago Cubs. It's starting to get to be crunch time as we hit mid-August here in the 2018 Major League Baseball season. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Chicago here in Fox Sports, Wisconsin. We're going to the bullpen early here today. Craig Kashan along with Dan Plesac. We've got the call here today. Danny, great to see you again.
You don't want me to go through a lineup the second time. Get me in and get me out quick, Craig.
We're slated to have a good time here, and obviously it'll be better, if the Brewers can get going again. You take a look at this season series, though. The Cubs grabbed those early games in Chicago and Milwaukee. They have an 8-3 advantage in this season series.
You know, you can look at those numbers and dissect them anyway. I think this is a better Brewer lineup right now. Mike Moustakas, Jonathan Scope isn't in the lineup this afternoon, but this is a different Brewer team. And what I like about this two-game set, the bullpen is setting up in pretty good order for Craig Counsell. These are two big games. This isn't the end of the line, and we're certainly not at that do or die. It's getting to where, as Yogi says, it's getting late early. We're getting into the middle part of August. Two really big games, 3 games behind the Cubs. At worst, you at least have to get out of here with a split.
Well, you've got 41 games remaining, and for Milwaukee, this is the first of a 14-game stretch against division foes, and they do not have a winning record in the National League Central. After these two in Chicago, it's on to St. Louis, and these clubs will meet again here before too long. Here's manager Craig Counsell on this series against the Cubs.
Look, it's an important series. We got a chance to, like you said, control what they do today, and so we're eager for the opportunity for sure.
All right, so it's going to be Jhoulys Chacín, Jose Quintana on the hill for our starting pitchers matchup here today. And Dan, for Milwaukee, we've already seen on this road trip, short starts have not added up to victories.
And Craig, after a while, it starts to tax your bullpen. A bullpen that's a little beleaguered right now. Without having Corey Knebel, that reliable guy in the 9th inning, the kind of roles have been reversed a little bit here. I think the key today is Chacín can get some length, get through the 6th, hopefully the 7th inning, turn things over to Jeremy Jeffress and Josh Hader. That's what the best case scenario would be, to get those two relievers involved. There aren't a lot of teams that are 4 and 5 deep. We touched on it earlier when we were talking. Corey Knebel's inability to get big outs late in the game has kind of put Craig Counsell behind the 8 ball a little bit. But I think the bullpen, particularly after an off day, is set up pretty well for this 2-game set.
Well, you see the numbers, the ERA for Jhoulys Chacín in the month of August. So getting a good start out of him, very important right now. Time for some of these starters to turn some things around for Milwaukee. The other part of the puzzle is Quintana. He's having, in his terms, kind of a mediocre season, but his stats against Milwaukee is lifetime ERA less than a run, and he's won 4 of his 5 decisions.
And Craig, it's really hard to say, to figure out how this is. It's just one of those things in baseball. Some pitchers, either it's the ballpark or the team, you look at those numbers, 7 starts against the Brew Crew, that ERA 0.92. I think what really sticks out is the 46 strikeouts and only 10 walks, 154 opponents batting average against. I don't look at him like a Randy Johnson. I don't look at him as a guy that's untouchable. He's a control guy, and I think what's puzzling is you would think as well as the Brewers hit left-handed pitching with the right-handed predominant lineup, with the exception of Christian Yelich, that they would handle him. It hasn't been the case. The last game, though, the Brewers did score 2 runs in 6 innings, so hopefully that will snap that jinx.
This is why you play the game. You never know. The Brewers are up for the task today. They also have Ryan Braun in that lineup. When we go back to the studio, Dario and Augie are going to talk about how a red-hot Ryan Braun right now will put the Crew in position to succeed in Chicago. Coming right back. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
the Brewers and the Cubs in a short 2-game set here at Wrigley Field. A look at today's starters for the Brewers. It's been Yolis Chassin, an 11-4 record for him. The earned run average just under 4. He's been their most consistent starter. And Jose Quintana taking the mound for the Cubs, a 10-8 record and a 4.28 earned run average. Good afternoon, everyone. Sophia Minard here at Wrigley Field, and it is just a short 2-game set. The Brewers and the Cubs have 8 games remaining on the regular season schedule, and what an impact this could have on the standings. The Brewers are just 3 games back of the Cubs for that NL Central Division lead. So the players certainly know what's at stake. They know they have a tough task in facing Jose Quintana today, and they trust that Yolis Chassin will deliver a quality start. But we get reaction from Mike Moustakas and Josh Hader on the importance of this series.
Yeah, every game's important, obviously, coming down towards the end, but these ones a little bit more. We got to go out there and focus on winning each night. Each day is important, so not looking far ahead and not looking behind and seeing what happens. Going out there, focusing on today and getting the job done today, and then getting the job done tomorrow.
Yeah, just keeping it simple, not trying to overdo anything, and really playing the ball that we know how to play, and everything else will handle itself.
Well, the Brewers also adding some depth to their bullpen and to their bench. They have reinstated Taylor Williams from the 10-day disabled list. He's been dealing with some soreness in his right elbow, but he is good to go here this afternoon. And Keon Broxton has been called up from Colorado Springs. Aaron Wilkerson and Jacob Barnes, the 2 relievers who were optioned to AAA. So as we go up to our game announcers, Craig Kashan and Dan Plesek, guys, Craig Counsell saying these moves are really a function of the 2 off days. An off day yesterday, another one coming up on Thursday after the conclusion of this series. So they get some depth there, adding another right-handed bat in Keon Broxton and a huge addition in Taylor Williams. He's appeared in 42 games already this season. Another high leverage option for Craig Counsell in that bullpen.
That's right, Sophia, and that's huge right now. You don't want to be entering these final 41 games without the right ammunition in that bullpen right now. And Taylor Williams, for the most part, Dan, has been really effective, and he feels good. Didn't have to do a rehab assignment, wasn't out that long. Fatigued, I guess that's August. This time of year, we're seeing it a lot around the league.
You know, as Sophia touched on, a high leverage guy, and one of the big reasons is Corey Knebel has taken himself and being out of that, being an impact guy in the 9th and preferably in the 8th inning. Craig Counsell looking to try to ease him in, brought him in the middle of the game on Sunday against the Braves. But one thing that I think is a positive for the Brewers, with the day off on Monday and the day off coming up on Thursday, he can empty out that bullpen. If Yolis Chassin can get into the 5th or 6th inning, get through 6 innings to be able to use Jefferson Haders, I think this sets up really well for the Brewers for these 2 games. Worry about the St. Louis series when you get to St. Louis on Friday.
Yeah, so important to take these 1 game at a time. Again, the first of 14 straight against division opponents. The Brewers got some making up to do, and they can do it starting today in a head-to-head matchup with their rivals, the Chicago Cubs. We're ready to clash between these 2 teams when we come back to Wrigley Field.
Kane's thinking 2 all the way at least. And there is no doubt about it.
Baez whistles one in the gap in right center.
Vaughn hits one hard into right field, and
Home run, Christian Yelich.
Oh, the intensity building up here at Wrigley Field. Craig Kishon, Dan Plesac, Sophia Minert on the sidelines again. We'll check back in with her in moments. 87 degrees, mostly sunny skies here. It should be a glorious day for baseball at Wrigley Field. If you're talking about afternoon baseball, big game, mid-August, division rivals, it's all setting up to be a good one here as the Cubs are taking the field. Craig Counsell all smiles. He knows how big these games are. He's won 2 World Series. He wants to get the Brewers in that mix as well. And his batting order today, it's going to be loaded up with mostly righties. As we take a look at our batting order presented by Potawatomi, it's going to be Lorenzo Cain, top of the order. Then Christian Yelich, the lefty. Back to the righty and Aguilar. Ryan Braun will hit cleanup. He's kind of done a great job in that role as of late. Hernan Perez gets the start at second base. Mike Moustakas over at third. Eric Kratz behind the plate. Orlando Arcia gets the start at shortstop. He will bat 8th ahead of Yolis Chacin. And it's going to be Quintana on the mound. Jose Quintana, and what a record he's got against Milwaukee. They'll try to spoil that today, Dan.
How about this, Craig? 4-1 with an ERA of 0.92. That's correct, 0.92 against the Brewers. 49 innings, 26 hits. He's had his way with the Brew Crew so far. 3 starts this year, Craig. 2-0 with an 0.95 ERA. If there's such a thing right now as a Brewers killer, he's been one up to this point. Defensively for the Cubs, as they're trying to hold on to this 3-game lead, the Brew Crew, Kyle Schwarber left, Ian Happ, Jason Hayward, Tommy La Stella, Javi Baez, the glove master, Ben Zobrist, Anthony Rizzo, and Wilson Contreras putting the fingers down behind the plate.
All right, let's take a look at the Cubs defense. Tommy La Stella this season over at third base. It's 9th start there today. 22 chances, couple of errors. That fielding percentage just over 900 right now for him over there. And of course, Chris Bryant still out on the disabled list. Tom Hellion is our crew chief here today. Phil Cousy behind the plate. Ryan Blankney and Dan Bellino. That's our umpiring crew here at Wrigley today. Again, a beautiful day. The Brewers come into this one 3 behind the Cubs. So you want these head-to-head matchups right now. That's the greatest chance the Brewers have to making up ground. It's at the point of the year where you don't want to start relying on other teams.
You know, a hot, buggy day, 87 degrees, wind blowing out slightly to left field. You would assume keep the ball down would be a key both for Chacin and Quintana. This should be, if you look at it the way it shapes up right now, a high-scoring affair. Conditions definitely in the favor of the hitters.
Wind blowing right to left as Lorenzo Cain steps in the box. The lefty winds and delivers, and it's a ball outside to start this game here at Wrigley Field.
One of the keys for Quintana, one of the things that has made him so effective against the Brewers, pitching right-handed hitters on the inside half of the plate.
And Cain launches one deep left and long gone. Home run for Lorenzo Cain as he jumps on Quintana, his 9th home run of the year, and that's how you start a ball game.
Boy, just how things were in batting practice we were watching earlier. The ball was flying out of the friendly confines. Second pitch of the game, Quintana tries to sneak a fastball by Lorenzo Cain, and he had no part of that. Fastball here, inner third, middle, Lorenzo Cain barrels it up, and just like that, it's 1-0 Brew Crew.
9 home runs for Cain. That's his first since June 13th against the Chicago Cubs. As Christian Yelich jumps on that first pitch and bounces out to second base. Here's your first out and a 1-0 lead for Milwaukee.
Boy, that's a good sign right there for the Brewers, that a guy that's kind of had his way with the Brewers. We talked about Quintana's career record of 4-1, and that's over a handful of starts, 49 innings pitched, and an 0.92 ERA. So some positive vibes right now in that Brewers dugout after Lorenzo Cain's leadoff homer.
Here's Jesus Aguilar batting third, the big Brewers first baseman. 29 home runs, 87 RBIs. That home run by Kane, by the way, his first career home run at Wrigley Field. Not a lot of chances until he switched over from interleague play in the Royals to Milwaukee here in 2018 after signing that big free agent deal during the offseason. Inside, and Aguilar ahead in the count, 2-0. And this is where Quintana has suffered all season long. He has fallen behind in counts, and he has not been able to recover. Again, the Kane home run, a 1-0 pitch. There's a strike into Aguilar.
You know, he has a good fastball, 91 to 94 miles an hour. But Craig, I wouldn't put him in that category of Chris Sale or James Paxton of the Mariners. He doesn't throw quite that hard. He needs to be around the plate, and one of his strengths is pitching in with a fastball, particularly to righties.
2-1 pitch laced into right field, a base hit for Aguilar.
And I think that's one of the keys. I love that piece of hitting there by Aguilar. If you're going to have a lefty pitch in like Quintana likes to do, a great piece of inside out hitting, a four-seam fastball with a little bit of cut on it. He doesn't try to pull this, keeps his hands inside and barrels it up and hits a bullet through the right side. Great piece of hitting by a big, tall guy, strong guy. And a lot of people across the country look at Aguilar and think this big burly guy is just a big home run hitter, but he might be pound for pound their best all-around hitter for the Brewers.
He has had a tremendous season, was an all-star for the first time, and has solidified first base. And now it's up to Ryan Braun here, one down. The Brewers already have a run in, Aguilar at first. And Braun jumps on that first pitch. It's fouled off on the right side and just into the second row.
Well, if we're four batters, then take a look at Ryan Braun. He's had a pretty good start to the month of August so far. Starting to hit for some power. You see the 1 home run, 6 doubles. Not too bad in a 9-game sample size. Average up to 367. They're going to need Brawny to start swinging a big stick the next 4.5 to 5 weeks.
Well, he has had his way here in Chicago in his career. A .323 hitter with 33 home runs and 120 RBIs. Prime afternoon to add to that total, and there it is, left field, long gone. Another home run. The Brewers have 2 this inning and grab an early 3-0 lead against Jose Quintana.
Boy, after a tough loss on Sunday to the Braves, game plan for Craig Counsell, be up there being aggressive early. Lorenzo Cain with the leadoff homer on the second pitch, and Ryan Braun turns one around, and just like that, 3-0 Brew Crew. Another fastball that Quintana tries to get in. This is a breaking ball, hanging curveball, and Ryan Braun barrels this one up. No doubt about it, and Braun, he knew it as soon as he hit it.
9 pitches into the game, and the Brewers have swung at 5 of them. And there's another base hit for Hernan Perez. So 10 pitches in. The Brewers have swung at 6. They own a 3-0 lead, 4 hits already.
Boy, the hot August continues for Ryan Braun. Curveball right here from Quintana. Doesn't miss it. Hits it about 9 rows deep. We touched on it. The ball was flying early in batting practice. Hot, humid conditions. Wind blowing out slightly to left field.
Craig Counsell enjoying the start of this game. This is exactly, if you write a script, what it would be. Get that early lead, wind blowing out, take advantage. Perez over at first, Moustakas at the plate. And again, Quintana falls behind in the count, first pitch. Moustakas .283 with 2 home runs and 9 RBIs as a Milwaukee Brewer. Came over on that July 27th deal from Kansas City. .253 overall in the season, so he has taken his game to another notch up here in a Brewer uniform.
And I think one of the things he's provided, solid defense at third base. I think Brewer fans are getting a chance to see a guy that was on a world championship team in 2015 for the Royals, and you can see why. Not only swings a pretty big bat, but really good in the field too defensively at third.
He's behind a ball and 2 strikes.
to the lefty Jose Quintana. What a start for Milwaukee here in the opening frame. Chuck Perez over at first. Perez swinging that first pitch after the Ryan Braun home run. All the celebration. Didn't get a chance to talk about Perez. He gets the start at second base today. He's been hitting very well over the last month. Moustakas takes outside to even it up 2-2.
That's a pitch right there that Quintana. He's not a guy that's going to overpower you with his stuff. He needs the corners both inside and outside, and a good job of laying off that pitch. A close pitch, but definitely a little bit off the corner to Moustakas.
Here's the 2-2. With a bouncer to short. Cubs looking for two, and they cannot turn it. Moustakas beats the throw, and he'll be aboard on a fielder's choice with 2 down. Little slow roller. And the Brewers inning continues for Eric Kratz.
Take another look at it right here. Javi Baez, a quick shuffle over to Ben Zobrist. Moustakas off the left side, a little bit easier to get down that line, and bang bang play, but you can clearly see he beats it by about a half a step.
Moustakas hit first. Eric Kratz, the Brewer catcher today. He came in the game on Sunday in Atlanta for Manny Pena, who was hit hard by a foul tip. Tried to stay in the game for about an inning. I'm sure with the off day yesterday and a chance for Kratz to get in there, he's feeling a whole lot better by now. But Kratz had a couple of base hits late in that ball game.
In a hot, muggy, humid day like it is a day game today, not only scoring 3 runs early on Quintana, but driving that pitch count up, making it work early. Beautiful sunny day here at the corner of Clark and Addison.
And Quintana working from behind again. Now it's 3-0. Orlando Arcia waits on deck.
You can tell on a day like today, Craig, on a 2-0 count with a guy like Kratz electing to go with the breaking ball. Kind of shows you pitching a little bit on the defensive. Is Quintana early. The Brewers have put him in that mode by being aggressive early.
There's a strike, 3-1. Well, they have not been able to say that very often when facing this guy in a Cubs uniform. Came over in that midseason trade from the White Sox a year ago. Brewers were very interested in acquiring him themselves, and obviously it went Chicago's way. 3-1 to Kratz. Curveball slides by, 3-2.
Pretty good off speed right there. A 3-0 fastball that Kratz took right down the middle. And he comes back here with this slow curveball. You can see that Eric was looking dead fastball, looking something on the middle third of the plate. You could see by that expression, completely fooled by the change of speeds.
Here's the 3-2.
You know, getting back to that trade, when the Cubs pulled the trigger, remember the name Eloy Jimenez was an outfielder that came in that package that went back to the White Sox from the Cubs, and he's kind of been the talk of the minor leagues, a power hitting outfielder. So the White Sox think down the road that it will be a good trade for them. Remember the name Eloy Jimenez.
All right, we're going to mark it down. Here's the 3-2 and a high fastball, and Kratz cannot check his swing. That half swing cost him, but the Brewers jump out in front. Exactly what they wanted to do. Lorenzo Cain, his first home run since June. And then Ryan Braun, who owns this ballpark as a visitor, makes it a 3-0 game. We head to the bottom of the first, his 34th career home run at Wrigley Field. There's Joe Madden, the skipper of the Cubs, has his team riding on top of the Central Division as we start play today. His managerial record very good, and his batting order looks like this. It's going to be Anthony Rizzo at the top as we take a look, brought to you by Potawatomi. Then it's Baez, Zobrist, Jason Hayward, Tommy La Stella, Kyle Schwarber, Wilson Contreras, Jose Quintana, the pitcher, bats 8th. Ian Happ will bat 9th, the center fielder. And of course, Jhoulys Chacin on the hill for Milwaukee, and he is staked to a 3-0 lead early before he takes the mound. That first pitch looked like it may have just missed the top of the zone.
Fine record on the year. It speaks for itself. 11-4. Might be the Brewers' most consistent starter. 3-pitch guy. Sinker, slider, split changeup, strike thrower, pitches to contact. The kind of guy the Brewers need to eat up some innings, particularly after a stake to a 3-0 lead by the home run, by a solo blast by Kane, and the 2-run homer by Braun. Try to get this bullpen involved. Hader and Jeffers late. Need to get some innings out of Jhoulys Chacin this afternoon.
Chacin's last start Wednesday against San Diego, won that one 8-4 to get back on the winning track. 6 strong innings, 3 earned runs allowed, just a walk and 3 strikeouts. You get something like that matched here again at Wrigley Field, and you've done your job. Anthony Rizzo, 2-1 count to him.
Good look at that split change right there. I think one of the things that makes Jhoulys Chacin so effective, he's not afraid to throw the ball into the strike zone. In this day and age where pitchers, the strike zone is a lot smaller than it was with the box and the Quest Tech, you can't be afraid to throw that ball inside that box.
And a strikeout for Chacin to start. Breaking ball, top of the zone, and Rizzo is down.
Well, if he can continue that, we won't need to take a look at the defense. He'll just strike everybody out. Defensively for the Brewers, Ryan Braun, Lorenzo Cain, and Christian Yelich, pretty potent outfield. Mike Moustakas, Arcia, Hernan Perez, Jesus Aguilar, and Eric Kratz behind the plate.
All right, one down for Javi Baez. The Cubs shortstop putting together a sensational season. Career highs in just about every category. Takes a whack at that first pitch and grounds out to Moustakas so quickly. 2 down for Chacin.
Boy, right now, if you're Greg Counsell, this is just what you want to see. Come off a tough loss on Sunday afternoon in Atlanta. You get 3 runs early. Chacin throwing strikes out Rizzo to start this one. Good pitch and a nice play by Mike Moustakas. Quickly 2 outs.
That brings up Ben Zobrist batting 3rd, the Cubs' second baseman, 308 with 8 home runs and 46 RBIs. Brewers had to be shaking their head after losing that game on Sunday, out hitting the Braves 18-9. This one right down the right field line. First pitch for Zobrist, seeing a lot of that between these clubs, and he will trot into second base, satisfied with a 2-out double. So the first hit off Jhoulys Chacin here early this afternoon.
But you know what? You can live with that when you stake to a 3-0 lead. First pitch right here to Ben Zobrist. 90-mile-an-hour sinker that stayed up in the zone just past the glove of Jesus Aguilar, and it rolls down in the corner for a stand-up double for Ben Zobrist. I like the way that Jhoulys Chacin early is in attack mode. You can 2-out base hit. You can live with that. Key now is trying to get Jason Hayward out.
The right fielder steps in. 279 on the season for Hayward. 7 home runs and 48 RBIs. And a quick check of the runner back at second, Zobrist. Close play out there.
You probably wonder why a guy like Zobrist almost get picked off second base. He doesn't run particularly well. So one of the keys for Ben Zobrist is try to get a good secondary lead so he can score on a ball that gets through on the infield.
I say this with fun. He's got one of the old men trots around the bases, as we saw in that double there. There was no way he was thinking 3.
He does, and he has the old stirrup socks, right, that were in the 70s and 80s. Pants up above the knees, about 4 or 5 inches of stirrup socks showing, which we don't see now. There you get a good look at him right there.
Perfect.
Old school from Ben Zobrist.
1-0 to Hayward. This Brewer team has a lot of success with Chacin out on the hill. They've won 17 of his starts, 17-8 the team is when he starts, and that's the record you want to look at. It's not the personal record, how the team's doing. Outside 2-0.
Well, you can see why. He doesn't spend a lot of time in between pitches. He works quick. In a hot, muggy day like today, it's real easy as a defender to be lulled to sleep when a guy's ball 1, ball 2, walking around the mound. He picks the tempo of the game, and normally when Yolis is throwing the ball well, it's a fast-paced tempo that he likes to pitch into.
Here's the 2-0. This is inside. 3-0 the count. Zobrist out at second base, 2 down here in the opening frame.
Certainly early in this one, you can't assume if you're Chacin that Hayward won't be swinging 3-0, particularly conditions like they are today. Really important to make quality pitch right here. I would assume that Hayward has the green light and will be swinging.
Here's the 3-0. And he misses. So he walks him on 4 pitches. 2 aboard here at the bottom of the first. Let's take a look at our Pizza Ranch for the win, and it has everything to do with Chacin, Dan.
It sure does. I think one of the keys is length from Chacin, a Brewers bullpen that's, I'd say, a little beaten up right now. Corey Knebel no longer in the 9th inning. A great perfect bridge would be to get Chacin to either Jeffers or Hader. That would be just what the doctor ordered for Craig Counsell.
There's Tommy La Stella with 2 on and 2 out. And Chacin hits the high corner.
He's having a little bit of a difficult time with that breaking ball. That was similar to the one he struck out Anthony Rizzo to start this inning. That breaking ball that's kind of hanging around that upper part of the strike zone. He's gotten away with a couple of them early, but he's going to need to tighten that one up.
283 for La Stella, has not homered, 17 RBIs. Trying to fill the void with Chris Bryant still out on the disabled list. There's Chris Bryant getting closer to returning. Stella swinging a miss. Yu Darvish through a simulated 3-inning game today. Chris Bryant also took some swings during that simulated game. Cubs already with that 3-game cushion over the Brewers here in the division. And when you get those 2 guys back, I guess the bigger question mark is Darvish at this point. He's missed a brunt of the season and didn't have a whole lot of success before that. And Chacin, another strikeout. That's 2. That ends the threat here in the first as La Stella goes down.
2-0 lead over Jose Quintana and the Cubs thanks to a pair of home runs from Lorenzo Cain and Ryan Braun. And we spoke to Craig Counsell about the importance of this series. The Cubs have controlled the season matchup 8-3 so far, but he pointed to the 4-game set played here at Wrigley earlier in April, and he said really the wind was such a factor. He said it changed the nature of those games dramatically, especially offensively. He said when the home run was just not a factor, there were only 12 total runs scored in that 4-game series. So he said today they're expecting more typical Wrigley Field conditions, and Craig and Dan, we've certainly seen that here in the first inning with the 2 home runs. When Ryan Braun came into the dugout, he said, wow, the ball is going to be flying all day today.
And Orlando Arcia put this one in play, but a fly out to Hayward out there in right field. You played with the Brewers your first 7 years, then came to Chicago here at Wrigley for your next 2. What's it like April versus August?
This could be the greatest place in the world to pitch, Craig. I tell people, April and May, the wind normally blows from the north and it blows in. It starts to heat up around middle part of June all the way through July and August. It can be a nightmare pitching, particularly if you get the ball up in the strike zone. Huge advantage if you can change speeds, keep the ball down. The grass normally is high on the infield here, so when you have good infielders like a Javi Baez, you need to take advantage of that. But the ball does carry. We saw early on from Lorenzo Cain and the Ryan Braun. Those balls would have been out in April also. Those balls were crushed, but we've seen some balls during batting practice. The ball is definitely flying. You take a look at the flags blowing out from center field to left. Ideal conditions to hit in this afternoon here at Wrigley.
Yeah, the Brewers put him in play in the first, so 3-0 their advantage here as their pitcher Ulysses Chacin now bats. Chacin made a rare pinch hitting appearance on Sunday in the ball game. Midway through, and Anderson was done pitching after 4 innings. Chacin strikes out. I don't see a pitcher pinch hitting for a pitcher very often midway through a game.
No, you know what? And I don't know if I would like that if I had a wind that was on the line, Craig, but sometimes when you get forced, your hand gets forced when you get into those games in the National League, when you run through a Friday and Saturday, some deep games, and you're running out of bodies. Unfortunately, that happens in the National League.
Yeah, and that's evident of a short start as well. Anderson only going 4. Of course, you talk about hot, humid conditions. It was tough on both starting pitchers.
You know, that's the concern, I think, right now. This Brewer bullpen is a good bullpen, but they've gone to that bullpen early. They've gone to it often. Craig Counsell didn't want Chase Anderson facing the lineup for the 3rd time, so he pulled the plug after 4 innings. And the Brewers are going to have to start getting some more length out of their starting pitching, or that bullpen, which has been so good, will be running on fumes when we get to the month of September.
So Cain, who hit the home run in the first, bats for a 2nd time, and another base hit for Lorenzo Cain.
Amazing. He has found a home here. There were a lot of people in the industry in the winter when the Brewers locked him up. Another good look, a split finger changeup from Quintana. Doesn't fool Lorenzo Cain at all off the end of the bat. You see that little knuckleball effect. He hits this one right off the end, but a solid base hit. A lot of eyebrows raised in the industry. A lot of people thought with his age being in the 30s, a multi-year deal, that the Brewers, they were surprised that they jumped out early. But what a great sign and a great trade for this guy. Christian Yelich has changed the entire complexion of this team.
And here's Yelich bouncing out to second base. So the Brewers lead one mid-second. It's 3-0 Milwaukee. advantage for the Brewers here in the second. The Brewers host the Reds this coming Monday, August 20th. All fans can grab $6 Loge or Terrace level tickets for the contest exclusively through the MLB Ballpark app. This special offer expires this Thursday at 11:59 p.m. So to be sure to log into the Ballpark app and lock in your discounted seats before time is up. What a deal. What an option that Ballpark app has been this season. $6 for some great seats to watch the Brewers back home after a long road trip. Well worth it.
Partner, I'm going to have to check my schedule with MLB Network for $6. We may have to take in a game Monday. Brought a couple of cold ones.
I'm telling you, $6 to get in the gate. You cannot beat it. That's what baseball is all about. Bottom of 2 here. Kyle Schwarber to face Jhoulys Chacín. There's a strike to even up the count to get things going here in the frame for Chacín. Had 2 outs in that opening frame and then allowed 2 base runners before striking out LaStella. Foul back.
You know, it's hard to make a point early on in the first inning. It was a big out, but just think it was first and second in that big strikeout of LaStella, with Kyle Schwarber lurking on the on-deck circle to get out of that first inning. Could have been a potential bases loaded, 1 swing away from the Cubs being right back in this one. This is when you want to face a guy like Schwarber. Nobody on it. 1 ball, 2 strike count.
Yeah, the conditions here, warm, wind blowing out. I'd like to have a gigantic lead before you even exhale. 2-2 now to Schwarber. The Cubs a season high, tying 19 games over 500 for the 3rd time this season. And they can credit their big grand slam come from behind win by Bodie as another strikeout for Chacín.
A lot of different looks from Jhoulys Chacín. I won't call it a quick pitch, but kind of a speed up delivery. He kind of lulls you to sleep, and then it kind of a little bit of a quick pitch. Abbreviated windup. He catches right here, doesn't go over his head. Catches Kyle Schwarber like a little over anxious. That was a good curveball. If he throws that curveball the rest of the day, he'll be in business. Good pitch and a good change of pace on a guy that throws from different arm angles and changes up the motion on his delivery. A nice pitch.
Well, you can almost count the stitches on the ball there. Here's Contreras. Had some zip. That fastball just missing the top of the zone. Wilson Contreras, the catcher, 273 with 9 home runs and 41 RBIs. 1 down here in the Cubs' 2nd inning. Chacín lifetime against Milwaukee 3-4 to 3.30. That includes 7 starts.
Good slider there from Chacín. One of the things I think with the Cubs, you look at this potent lineup, but there are a lot of swings and misses, and there are some strikeouts. I know a lot of Cub fans have been disappointed. It's been at times feast or famine, and Contreras is kind of an example of that. Very eager, very aggressive.
Here's the 1-2. Struck him out. Looking. Just caught the inside corner. And 2 down.
Gets away with the breaking ball in the inner third. You can see Erik Kratz. He's sitting wanting the breaking ball down and away. The backdoor or backup breaking ball. Pitchers will say that's the best pitch in baseball when you get it called for a strike or popped up. Intended to be away. Broke on the inner half of the plate. He'll take it though.
Here's the pitcher, Quintana. Four strikeouts now for Chacín. He misses 2-0 to the Cubs starting pitcher.
Kind of a replay of inning 1. Quick out right away. The strikeout of Rizzo against Baez to ground out right away. A few pitches and 2 outs, and 2 quick strikeouts here, and having a difficult time finding home plate to Jose Quintana.
Yeah, you don't want to be messing around here. 0.27 batting average for Quintana. Here's the 3-0. There's a strike.
I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, Craig, but one of the most difficult things at times is to throw the ball over when you know a guy can't hit, and he's obviously not up there going to try to really swing the bat very much.
He's worked it full now. Chacin has. And right back at Chacin. How about that for a play? Yoeli Chacin, big smile on his face.
I'm not sure if he caught it or it caught him. Either way, the third out.
Right at the knees. First, the Orioles take on Francisco Lindor and the AL leading Indians. Then Ryan Braun and the Brewers battle Matt Carpenter and the Cardinals. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock on FS1 or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. Back here at Wrigley, top of 3 we go. The Brewers a 3-0 advantage over the Cubs, and that quick liner from Quintana back to Chacin ended the Cubs second. This one comes off the bat at 99. Hello.
Whoo! So you want to be a pitcher, right? Good thing he gets leather on that one. That had left kneecap written all over it. Not expecting it from a light hitting Quintana, hitting under 100 on the year, 0-25 going into that at bat.
There's Chacin sitting in the dugout behind Stephen Vogt, who's on the rail. Stephen Vogt, the veteran Brewer catcher, out for the rest of this season. Tough year for him. He's getting healthy though after surgery and very much a part of this Brewer team. He is hanging around this ball club home and road and doing his part, even though he cannot participate in games. Need that kind of leadership to take you the distance. Here's Aguilar to lead off the Brewer third. And Quintana falls behind. Brewers were able to take advantage back in the first inning. And those counts. Curveball drops in to even it up.
Back-to-back curveballs right there. I think one of the keys for Quintana to settle down and get some length out of this game. He's not going to overpower you with a fastball. Needs to get that curveball and his changeup over. That was a good one to Jesus.
And low 2-1, and Quintana gave up those 3 runs in the first inning, the most allowed to the Brewers in his career. His career ERA coming in against Milwaukee 0.92. 4-1 on the decisions.
In a pretty big sample size too, Craig. 49 innings, only 26 hits allowed before that first inning when the Brewers erupted for 3. The solo homer by Kane and the 2-run bomb by Ryan Braun.
Here's the 2-2 inside. Aguilar runs it full. Jesus Aguilar. How about this for 2 plate appearances? He's seen 10 pitches and only had 1 swing, and that was for the base hit back in the first. Very patient at the plate. As Ryan Braun now comes up with 1 aboard, the leadoff hitter. Time now for the StatCast AI powered by AWS. Ryan Braun, exit velocity on that home run, 101 miles an hour, his 34th career home run at Wrigley Field.
He's kept that hot month of August going. And if he can continue with this, with Kane and Yelich and Jesus Aguilar and Hernan Perez hitting behind him, who's swinging the bat, had a big 3-hit day on Sunday afternoon in Atlanta. All of a sudden this lineup starts to get longer and longer and longer, and then you have Mike Moustakas sitting in that 6 hole. So just what the Brew Crew hoped. If they could get Ryan Braun hot, he has been, and he needs to stay hot the rest of the way.
Well, he hasn't been playing on consecutive games during about a 3-week stretch to give him a break, keep him at 100%, Dan, and I think that's meant everything, because here we are now in the point of the season, even on this road trip, 2 scheduled days off, so you can play him in consecutive games with those built-in days off now.
You know, he's had some issues with that thumb that has bothered him for the last couple of seasons. And I think Ryan Braun will tell you, I think if you're Craig Counsell, he's done it again.
Look at that one fly. 2nd home run and as many at bats. Over the bleachers, and Ryan Braun gives Milwaukee a 5-0 advantage. What a start for Milwaukee, and Ryan Braun his 35th career home run here at Wrigley Field.
Makes no sense, right? A guy with a career ERA of 0.92 going into this start against the Brew Crew, and it's been a rough go. Another curveball, just like in the first inning. Almost the identical pitch, and Brawny doesn't miss it. Kaboom, this one was gone. Almost hits it onto the street.
2 home runs, 4 RBIs in the ball game, and we're only in the 3rd for Ryan Braun. My goodness. Nearly 109 miles an hour for Ryan Braun, the exit velocity. Here's Hernan Perez.
Exit velo of 109. He sounded like he hit that with a telephone pole. Kaboom.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's the home run sound. You can see the swing and hear the sound.
Not a bad way to start a day game. 2 for 2, 4 runs batted in, 2 home runs. Ryan Braun have a week in 1 day.
Not kidding. Perez strikes out. That's the first out here in the 3rd. And again, though, the leadoff walk, falling behind in the count, that has been a clear storyline for Quintana here against Milwaukee. In fact, the Brewer 1 through 5 hitters, 6 for 8 so far with 3 home runs and 5 RBIs.
So inability to command his secondary pitch, as we touched on it on the pregame. Not an overpowering pitcher. Needs the curveball, needs the changeup, and neither one has been very consistent this afternoon. And he hits Mike Moustakas with a 2-seam fastball, 91 miles an hour up and in.
Well, you know things are not going Quintana's way. Following the home run, he gets the out, and then inside hits Moustakas.
It'll be interesting to see Erik Kratz's approach last at bat. Quintana went slow curveball 3-1, and then another slow curveball 3-2. If I'm Erik Kratz, I might be up there looking for a breaking ball early on in the count.
Well, after the Brewers scored their 3 in the first, Quintana issuing and successfully issuing 11 straight strikes, and then he gets through that 2nd inning, and here in the 3rd, though, falling behind batter after batter. Count even to the Brewer catcher. Pratt struck out back in the first. Punches this one into the net. So a ball and 2 strikes. 1 out here in inning number 3. Brewers already with 2 runs in, thanks to Ryan Braun's 2nd home run of the game.
Quintana pitching Kratz a little backwards there, goes back to a fastball 1-1. A little late on that swing, going back in with another fastball.
This one's high, 2-2. Kratz to short. There's one at second, the relay in time, and a double play, but not before Milwaukee adds 2 more thanks to Ryan Braun. 2 home runs in 2 at-bats. That powers Milwaukee to a 5-0 advantage here at Wrigley Field. Head to the bottom of the third. MLB.TV Premium is now available at a lower price. For just $49.99, you can access HD streams of all out-of-market games on over 400 different devices. Plus, enjoy a free MLB At-Bat Premium subscription when you sign up. Learn more by visiting MLB.TV today. Ryan Braun out in left field, launching 2 long home runs in consecutive at-bats, and it's 5-0 Milwaukee as Chacin goes to work in the Cubs half of inning number 3.
You know, so important right now for Chacin to keep in that attack mode. It's real easy when you get a lead like this, 5 runs, wind blowing out, get careless, attack the strike zone.
And Ian Happ greets him down the right field line. On his way to second base, he'll make it in with a leadoff double. And the Cubs making some noise here in the 3rd inning.
Pitch from Chacin, slider, inner third of the plate. Happ doesn't miss it and hits this just down the line. Yelich gets over to cut it off a little bit, bobbles it. Probably wouldn't have had a shot to get Happ anyway. So a leadoff double for the Cubs.
14th double for Happ this season. Runner in scoring position, nobody out, top of the order now, and Anthony Rizzo. A check of the runner out at second base. Chacin's done that twice early in this game. It still doesn't seem right to say top of the order in Anthony Rizzo.
You take a look at this big, strong guy, number 44. He's not what you would think of as a leadoff guy, but it's been a spot that Joe Madden has put him in, and it seems like he hits well in the leadoff spot. He's gone through a couple of extended funks early in the year, puts him at the top of the order, and seems to snap out of it. First at bat, Yoeli struck him out on a curveball that wasn't a particularly good one. Be interesting to see if he chooses to attack him with more off-speed pitches.
347, can't argue with those numbers. 2-0 to the Cubs first baseman. On the season, 264, 17 home runs, and 75 RBIs. Runner out at second base, nobody out. And Rizzo runs at the 3-0.
You know, we've touched on it a couple of times already, even though we're just in the bottom of the third. Ideal conditions to hit in. If you're Jhoulys Chacin with this 5-run lead, you'd like to be in a little bit better attack mode early on.
There's a strike to make it 3-1.
Doesn't get any easier with Javi Baez on deck, who a lot of people think might be the leading vote getter right now if the season were to end. I know Cardinals fans would disagree. Matt Carpenter's had a resurgent last couple of months, but Baez has had a career year in a very potent Cub lineup.
Now this offense is nearly second to none when it comes to bottom to top order attack. And I say bottom because Happ starts out at the number 9 spot with a double. Joe Madden often will bat his pitcher 8th, and it's set up nicely here to start the 3rd inning. As Happ led off with a double, and now Rizzo top of the order.
First time out, Jhoulys struck him out on a big slow curveball. See if he elects to go back to this with a 2-strike count.
Here's the 3-2. Spoils another one. You saw those numbers, nearly every major offensive category for Chicago. They are riding the top of the league. And this season, that is what has carried them to a division lead. It hasn't necessarily been their pitching.
Good look at Chili Davis, their hitting instructor.
Rizzo into that shift. Perez, strong throw in time. What a play by Perez. In shallow right, had to go find the ball, had no time to set himself, and still threw out Rizzo.
Boy, in the day and age of the shifts that go on right here, this is a lot of range for Hernan Perez. He has to backhand it right here and get rid of it quickly, running away in a great stretch and a great tag there to keep his foot on the bag by Jesus Aguilar. Really a nice play on both ends and a great play by Perez.
What a stretch by the big guy, huh? Chacin likes everything he sees behind him. Happ moves to 3rd with 1 out. And here is Baez. And a little roller. And this one is going to be ruled foul. Either hit off the plate or hit him in the foot. Yep, hit him in the foot.
Interesting alignment here with the Brewers. They have the corners pinched. Moustakas and Aguilar. The ball's hit to them. They're going to come home, and you look at the middle of the diamond. You have Arcia and Perez playing back. So if you're Javi Baez, you obviously want to try to hit this ball through the middle part of the diamond.
And the 0-1 in there.
If you're Jhoulys Chacin right now, as a pitcher, you always want to get greedy, but this is a spot where you would gladly trade a run for an out. You want to stay away from that, getting 2 or 3 guys on at one swing of the bat, and it comes right back into this one.
And Baez taking time to try to walk off that ball that he hit right into his foot. That left foot there. Baez leads the National League with 89 RBIs. Just 2 ahead of Jesus Aguilar. And a called strike 3.
Boy, Jhoulys picked a great time to throw one of the better breaking balls that he's thrown this afternoon. Look at this hard breaking ball. Buckles Baez. Another one similar to the one that he struck out Anthony Rizzo to start the game. This one intended to be down and away. You could see the tight spin and rotation causes Baez to buckle.
A big strikeout for Chacin. He has 5 already here in the 3rd inning. That brings up Ben Zobrist, 2 down, and a runner still at 3rd. Happ led off with a double. Great defensive play by Perez, and then that big called 3rd strike on Baez.
Zobrist hit the double in his first at bat, hitting the ball right down the right field line.
And Chacin pours in another strike to even it up.
One of the better fastballs he's thrown, 93 on that fastball. His breaking stuff has really gotten him through the first 2 2/3 innings. We haven't seen that good sinking fastball yet. That was one of the better ones he's thrown this afternoon.
Here's the 1-1. This is outside, 2-1.
You can see a lot of different looks from Chacin. Speed up delivery. I think one of the things with pitching, it's about messing up timing. It's about deception and angles, and he throws a lot of different angles, different deception, different windup speeds.
2-1, chop foul to even it up. Dan, I don't think the offseason acquisition of Chacin opened up a ton of eyes, but if you look at what he has put together and been this team's most consistent starter, you think, where would they be without him at this point?
No question about it. If you're looking for a pitching MVP, I know a lot of people will point to the bullpen, and Jefferson, Hader have been terrific, but this guy has been rock solid. With the exception of a couple of starts, he's been really very dependable, and kind of what he's doing this afternoon. The Brewers get some run on the board, put a couple of runs up. He's not afraid to throw the ball in the strike zone.
General Manager David Stearns pulling off that deal. He's here today at Wrigley.
Talk about a lot of things that went right this winter from David Stearns. Not only Yoeli Chacin to make the trade for Christian Yelich, who's been a terrific player. Lorenzo Cain, they signed as a free agent. Been a very productive winter for the Brewers.
Well, you look at those 3 acquisitions alone, and offensively and out on the mound, what leadership they provided for the clubhouse, and then the numbers on the field leading the way by example. This one into the shift again. Perez, and he has 2 putouts from the grass out in right field in this inning, helping Yoeli Chacin.
Reminding you to please play responsibly. By Ascension, coming together to give healthcare a better name. We are Ascension. And by Wisconsin Dells, the water park capital of the world.
And Plesac's going to clear that boat out, get down the Chicago River tonight.
No, we're going to go for a swim up the river. Come on, partner. That's the easy way out. It's going to be cold around these parts in a couple of months. We're going swimming. Bring your Speedo. Let's go.
Come on, pal.
Man overboard.
I'm getting my stopwatch out. I'll be tracking your laps.
Oh, no,
from
you're
aboard.
jumping in with me, partner. We're in this together.
Top of 4 we go. Dan Plesac, Craig Kashan on board in the booth here today and tomorrow, giving BA and Rock a break. 5-0 Milwaukee. Here's Orlando Arcia. It's good to have you aboard.
It's great to be here. Hopefully Bill Schroeder enjoying a nice day off out on the lake somewhere.
Well, I guarantee he's out there today.
He has all those snazzy devices too. He's probably watching on his smartphone.
Orlando Arcia punches one down the right field
What
side.
if Rock knows how to swim? Any idea? I could see him out on a boat right now in a canoe with some floaties on.
I think maybe some floaties would help for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Cold one in a styrofoam container.
That could definitely be Rock.
Yeah, mad because he hooked himself trying to throw his line out. And it's caught in the back of his shirt.
Oh, that's what he had in mind on the day off. Arcia strikes out to lead off the 4th.
Well, it's been a good day so far for Chassin. 3 scoreless. About the only negative his last at bat, a strikeout. Made a nice play on a Quintana line drive. Just what the Brewers needed after a tough loss on Sunday afternoon in Atlanta, getting on a plane, day off on Monday.
Well, they want to make sure they finish the deal here too. It's been an interesting turn of events, not only for this Brewer bullpen, Dan, but we're seeing it across baseball right now. Whether you've got closers that are out or
Kenley
bullpens
Jansen for the Dodgers, problems with his heart.
Yeah, and the Dodgers have had a tough time closing things out since he's gone down. They've lost 4 or 5, including 4 blown saves.
You could go look at the Washington Nationals since Sean Doolittle has gone down. Their bullpen hasn't been the same.
How about the road trip they're on? They lost that heartbreaker here Sunday night, and then another walk-off loss to the Cardinals yesterday. Chassin goes down, so there's 2 down here, and you can show Lorenzo Cain some love by heading to the ballpark on Sunday, August 26th. The Brewers host the Pirates, and all fans in attendance will take home a collectible Lorenzo Cain bobblehead courtesy of WTMJ Radio. To book your seats, visit brewers.com/tickets. As Cain makes his way up. 2 hits for Lorenzo Cain so far in this game, led off with a home run. And if you go back to Sunday, he has 6 hits in his last 8 at-bats.
Just a winning player. Brings a lot of energy. Played at a World Series championship team with the Kansas City Royals. Plays with energy. He's the kind of guy that he's infectious. Guys like to have him in the lineup. They like to be around him. Hard worker. Takes his craft seriously. He's been everything that David Stearns and the Brewers hoped he would be when they signed him to that lucrative contract this winter.
Yeah, and I think, when you sign somebody like that, he leaves an organization for the first time. But his deal was coming back home to Milwaukee, where they drafted him and developed him into a major leaguer before he was traded away to KC. So he wanted to be here, and you can tell it is showing despite that line out there to end the 4th inning. All right, we're in the middle of 4. It's 5-0 Milwaukee.
in the fourth thanks to a pair of Ryan Braun home runs. Lorenzo Cain adding one as well. And time now for our Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. A big series between the Nationals and the Cardinals at Busch Stadium, and Paul DeJong provided the walk-off home run off of Coda Glover. An incredible game. The Cardinals were down 4-2. They would come back, score 4 in the 8th. The Nationals would then score 2 in the 9th and then come back and win it, on DeJong's homer. So the Cardinals overall 5 games back of the Cub and just 3 back of the Brewers.
Well, they're on a roll right now, and you're right. You know, the deficit as far as now looking over your shoulder a bit, where you normally haven't seen the Brewers have to do that very often. The Cardinals within 2 of Milwaukee now as this race gets tighter. As you see back out on the hill in the bottom of the 4th. You see the flags representing the division race. Hayward bats here in the 4th inning to lead off for Chicago.
And very uncharacteristic Cardinal-like, letting Mike Matheny go. Seems to have re-energized this Cardinal lineup.
And new manager Mike Schilt. His team's 17-9, the Cardinals, since they fired Matheny, and you can just tell they're a different group. It's a different atmosphere.
You know, it's amazing what one guy can do. Matt Carpenter's been out of his mind after a very slow April. Going into the middle part of May, he was hitting in the low 100s. Right now, he's in the conversation for NL MVP.
Hayward to Cain in center field, fighting off that sun for the first out.
So important to get that first out. Another fastball that's up in the zone. He gets the pop out to low Cain. You see him talking with Christian Yelich. This is one of the more difficult sun fields. The sun sets right behind us, right behind home plate. A little bit of cloud coverage this afternoon, which helps a little bit, but can be a very, very difficult center to right field, particularly as this game gets later on in the afternoon.
Yeah, also that the wind that you're talking about, you wonder if Yelich didn't have a beat on that at first. Here's La Stella, and Braun catches up with it. So another hard hit ball, but 2 down quickly here in the 4th for Chacin.
Boy, just what you'd like to have too. Keep the pitch count down. If he could get a quick inning here and get rid of Kyle Schwarber to turn this lineup back over in a rotation that's dying for somebody to give them some length. A great start so far this afternoon. 5-run lead with a well-rested bullpen lurking. So far, so good for the Brew Crew and Yoeli Chacin.
5 strikeouts for Chacin so far in this game. Only 1 walk issued, and has only given up 2 hits. Another pop-up as Schwarber on the first pitch. Cain calling everybody off, makes the catch. How about that? A 6-pitch inning for Yoeli Chacin as we head to the 5th. It's 5-0 Milwaukee. in Chicago here. Those kids having a good time. The Brewers enjoying this game one start. A 5-0 advantage, and you can catch a Major League Baseball doubleheader Saturday on FS1. The Orioles take on Francisco Lindor and the AL leading Indians. Then Ryan Braun and the Brew Crew battle Matt Carpenter and the Cardinals. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock on FS1 or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. A lot of national TV appearances on this road trip for Milwaukee, consecutive Saturdays. There's Christian Yelich to lead off for Milwaukee here in the 5th inning. 5 runs against Quintana. 4 off the bat of Ryan Braun with 2 two-run home runs. Yelich 0 for 2. It'll be Yelich, Aguilar, and Braun here in the 5th inning. Well, what a job by Chacin in that last half inning, the bottom of the 4th, 6 pitches in a 1-2-3 inning. And Yelich shift is on for Chicago.
How about 0 for 3? 3 ground outs to second base for Christian Yelich so far.
Yeah, each one. Here's Aguilar, the first baseman. He has not been retired in his previous 2 at-bats, a single and a walk. He scored 2 runs so far.
Amazing where he's come from in a year, partner. This was a guy last year that made the team as a right-handed hitter off the bench to hit left-handed pitching.
High fly ball straight away center field on the first pitch. And there are 2 down.
Went from a part-time right-handed hitter off the bench to one of the most feared middle part of the orders in the NL. Taking a good look out there, thinking, boy, thought he got that one, just popped it up on a hot, humid day. Went from a platoon guy, right-handed specialist off the bench to a National League All-Star in 2018.
Pretty amazing stuff. In line to be a Brewer MVP for sure in 2018. And here's Ryan Braun, and his bat has spoken volumes so far in this game. I misspoke on the home run numbers after his 2nd home run. Those were career home run numbers. He's got 35 as a Brewer against the Chicago Cubs in his career. So 17 home runs in his career here at Wrigley Field. 35 in his career against the Cubs. That's a pretty decent split. He's done very well here, obviously, on the road. No Brewers ever had a 3-homer game at Wrigley. And Ryan's going to get a couple of chances at least here to try to do that. Jeremy Burnitz, the last 3-home run game against the Cubs. That came at Miller Park when the ballpark opened in its first season.
First 2 at-bats, 2 two-run home runs, both on curveballs from Jose Quintana. Has yet to see the curveball in this at-bat.
2-1, fair ball, no foul. Very close, just past 3rd. Dan Bellino, the 3rd base umpire. Yep, it's foul.
That's a pretty good sign too for Ryan Braun. That was a good fastball that was off the plate. Able to get the barrel to it, not break his bat. That's a good sign. The thumb must be feeling better. Couple at bats earlier, 2 home runs on 2 curveballs, a good fastball there. He was able to get the barrel out in front of it.
Here's the 2-2. And this one to 3rd. And a 1-2-3 inning for Jose Quintana. 4.5 in the books. It's still 5-0 Milwaukee. Hernan Perez back in that third inning, showing off some arm strength.
Boy, not only swinging a big bat with the shift on right here, he does a great job of getting this, throwing it off balance, and a great stretch and a hang on to the bag by Jesus Aguilar, and another one deep into that shift. Much different now than it was, say, in the 80s and 90s, Jim Gantner style. Hernan Perez, if you're going to move around the diamond, arm strength, definitely one of the prerequisites now to have, particularly where playing so deep into shallow, and he's almost straight up on the other side of shortstop on second base right now. So a lot of different arm angles and a lot of different throws required for the middle infielders.
You have to have shortstop type strength to play that position now successfully with the shifts, don't you?
It's amazing, Greg, how teams have gotten so smart about it, where hitters hit the ball on the ground, the percentages of where you're going to put your fielders, and it's really cost hitters 15-20 points on their average. You go back at a couple of years ago, a lot of the Yankee hitters, Mark Teixeira, one in particular from the left side, had a very difficult time, and that was his better side to swing the bat from. And you see it more with left-handed hitters than right-handed hitters. Bryce Harper, for example, with the Nationals, it's really difficult now to hit a ball on the ground to the second base side of second base with three defenders on that right side of the diamond. It's gotten to the point today in baseball, you take a look at it right there. If more than likely, if Wilson Contreras hits this ball on the ground, it's going to be near impossible to get it through that three-man left side of the infield.
Inside to Contreras, 3-1 here to start out the fifth inning. I remember seeing the shift more prevalent when Prince Fielder was called up to the big league, started having his success. And you wonder what his batting average would have been, because you did see the second baseman well out into right field and able to throw him out several times. 3-2, called strike three, and a big strikeout for Chacin to start the fifth inning.
Terrific sequences of pitching. A 3-1 breaking ball followed up with a good fastball right here. Slow him down to speed him up. Contreras looking more off speed to see that good two-seam finger grip. Two-seam fastball, knee high right down the middle, locks up Contreras. Great sequence of pitching. 3-1 slider, 3-2 fastball, called strike three. Good sequence.
And a pinch hitter already for Joe Madden as Jose Quintana's day is over. Victor Caratini in to hit here in the fifth inning with one out. So an early call to the bullpen for the Cubs after the Brewers do something they've never done before against Jose Quintana, and that's hit him hard. And they got him for 5 runs here so far today, all coming in the first 3 innings. Caratini 254, no home runs and 10 RBIs. Another strikeout for Chacin, wasting no time there. His 7th strikeout already of the afternoon. And there's the action out there. Chavez is getting loose. A lot of changes here at Wrigley Field over the last couple of years. That bullpen moves under the stands indoors. No longer on the warning track outside the dugouts. They're under there somewhere with a television monitor behind the Gallagher sign.
I always found that tough in the bullpen. I always made my living pitching in the bullpen for 18 years. I like to see the action. You feel the crowd, you feel the intensity of the game. When you're underneath like that, it's almost like you're kind of away from the feel, the sense, the smell, the sights, the sounds.
And
I just didn't like it.
And you think about what a change of venue that is for this place to do that. When they're used to being out there with the fans in the open air and no walls whatsoever, now they have 4 walls and a ceiling.
I think there's something to it, and I guess it's all personal preference, but there's something about the energy when you're sitting down watching a game from the bullpen, and now you're underneath in a controlled environment. I get it. I understand it. It's great in April and May and September when it's cold and it's damp and you can warm up in a controlled environment. But I always felt I enjoyed it much more where I had a sense of the feel of the game, the energy of the crowd. And then when you're underneath like that, it's almost like you're just coming out, pulling out of your car, throwing on your uniform, and go ahead and walk out to the mound and try to get some people out.
And the 3-2 to Happ, and he draws the 2-out walk on the full count. So base runner for Chicago here in the 5th inning.
Breeze through the 4th inning. We touched on it, 6 pitches to get through the 4th. Looked like he was on his way. Breezing struck out Contreras, first 2 in this inning, and then the 2-out walk to Ian Happ.
Yeah, he had retired 8 straight since Happ's double back in the 3rd. So Happ doing his job from that number 9 spot today. He's getting on base. Here's Anthony Rizzo with the runner aboard. 2 down here in the 5th inning.
On a day like today with the wind blowing out to left field, you just never feel comfortable, even though it feels cozy right now. 5-0, bottom 5 here with 2 outs. One swing of the bat, and the Cubs could be right back into this one. Very imperative, Chacin, to bear down and keep concentrating.
And he falls behind, 2-0. A middle inning tester for Yolis Chacin. One of his bigger hurdles when he's pitching well is enduring the middle inning threats. Cubs trying to put one together here with 2 down. It's 3-0 to Rizzo now. Javi Baez waits on deck. Rizzo up in the box. He'll take a strike on the 3-0. Your leadoff hitter, you can look to square a bunt, can't you?
I wouldn't take the bait on that one if I'm Yolis Chacin. I don't care if he squares around a bunt. Pitch count very much in control. This will be his 58th pitch. So far to get through 5 innings, he could get through this under 60 pitches. Would be quite an accomplishment.
Here's the 3-1. And Rizzo fouls one off. Another big crowd here at Wrigley. Great venue here for a Tuesday afternoon in August. Another sellout here at the old ballpark.
Spoke a little prematurely. That was pitch number 75 for Yolis Chacin.
He's been very efficient, though. That was only the 2nd walk that he's given up that Happ just drew. Get that 6-pitch 4th inning. Here's the 3-2. And into that shift. And you talked about it to open up the inning, and Perez takes care of it to close things out. Actually, that's Orlando Arcia out there in the grass.
the Cubs as we head to the 6th here at Wrigley Field. And the Brewers Community Foundation is once again featuring the 50-50 raffle at every home game. The sellers will be in bright orange polos, selling $2 tickets, hoping to make your day. And one winner per game will take home 50% of the day's proceeds, and the other 50% will support children and their families in greater Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Now the team here at Wrigley for the next 2 days, and they're joined by starter Zach Davies, who made an 86-pitch rehab start Saturday night in AA with the Biloxi Shuckers. So he did throw a bullpen session here today at Wrigley Field. He'll go out on another minor league rehab assignment and start Thursday with the Colorado Springs Sky Sox in Des Moines, Iowa. So Craig Counsell saying they've been encouraged by how Davies has continued to pitch. More importantly, he's healthy, but they want to continue to get him on a 5-day routine, make sure that he can work through that back injury that's been bothering him for the last couple months. So really that's the important part, is getting him back on a routine, considering the time he's missed despite the injuries not being that significant.
Yeah, the Brewers really hoping that something will turn out to be very positive for Zach Davies before the season is up and he can help them in this playoff run. Hernan Perez leads off the 6th for Milwaukee, and he puts this one in play down the right field line and just into foul territory. New pitcher out on the mound for the Cubs, Jesse Chavez.
Well traveled, his 9th team. He's actually pitched pretty well for the Cubs. They acquired him July 19th from the Texas Rangers. He's done a little bit of everything: long relief, short relief. He's spot started at times. Kind of used as one of those bridge guys to get the ball towards their go-to guys, their high leverage guys in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
And today counted on to pick up in the 6th inning, down 5-0. Perhaps need an inning or two. Perez stays alive, but gets a bruise along the way. 1 for 2 for Perez in this game. Struck out last time in the 3rd inning, but singled back in the 1st. And this one down the left field line, just foul again. Perez gets the start at second base for Milwaukee, and over his last 31 games, this is why: .329 with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. He also matched his season high with 3 hits on Sunday. So you want that hot bat, you want to somehow keep it in the lineup. And it hasn't been Jonathan Schoop, the new pickup. It's been Perez taking advantage. And Perez, Dan, started taking advantage when Arcia went down to the minors, his 2nd demotion, if you will, and hadn't played any shortstop all year until then. He's all over the field to help Craig Counsell. This time he strikes out, 1 down. Let's take a look at our tavern of the game. Our winner is Lebo's Bar and Grill in Gilmanton. If the tavern calls the Milwaukee Brewers by 10 a.m. tomorrow, they'll receive 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer is courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. And Gilmanton, I know you want to know where that is. It is in Buffalo County, just mostly north, a little west of La Crosse. Gilmanton Township was initially called the Loomis Settlement. We're full of facts, my friend.
Wow.
And at least 1 bar, which is a Wisconsin City must, as you're well aware of your time here.
Beer, brats,
yep.
Brewers, Milwaukee. Says it all, right?
And it tastes better when you win it. It's 5-0 Milwaukee right now. Here's Moustakis. Quickly down 2 strikes. Now a ball and a strike to the Brewer 3rd baseman. Moustakis hit by a pitch his last time up in the 3rd inning.
Another look at the shift that the Cubs employ. Ben Zobrist normally started the game at second base. He's almost playing straight up shortstop. Tommy La Stella, 3rd baseman, is at the second base position. Javi Baez, the shortstop, is playing almost in short right field.
And part of that by arm strength and ability to get to a ball.
No doubt about it. Javi Baez has as strong as arm as anybody. We've seen earlier 3 times Hernan Perez's arm strength If you're going to play deep into that shift, you have to have some arm strength. The problem is you get the ground ball. If it would be straight up right now to Javi Baez where he's playing, that's a deep throw. And if he has to go particularly towards the center field or second base side of the bag, that's almost a long throw, like it would equate to almost throwing from third base across the diamond to first. So you can move guys around, but you have to have some arm strength, and hits it right to Javi Baez.
So the pop out is out number 2, and the Cubs will shift around back into a traditional infield mode. Here's Eric Kratz. Grounded into a double play back in the 3rd inning. 2 down here in the Brewers' 6th. Eric Kratz, acquired from the Yankees way back on May 25th. Another eye-opening move that a lot of Brewer fans here in the National League side not as familiar with Eric Kratz. Well traveled around the league, but a lot of time also in the minors. And that's where the Brewers got him, from the Yankees AAA affiliate. Been very steady behind the plate for Milwaukee. And working a pitching staff that's done a very, very nice job.
Great handler of pitchers. You have a lineup with Kane and Yelich and Braun swinging the bat now, and Hernan Perez swinging the bat much better lately. You acquire Mike Moustakas, Jonathan Scope. Offense has been much better the recent weeks for the Brewers. I think you have to, if you want to get something, you have to give something. He does a very good job handling a pitching staff. Good catch and throw guy. Any offense that he brings to the table is a bonus.
And he brought a lot of offense when he first came up with Milwaukee. Hit safely in each of his first 6 games, including 3 home runs. Kratz, a career 200 hitter in the majors. And he knew those numbers were going to come down, so this is where you want the rest of the pack to pick everybody up, and it's been a struggle at times. Thus the acquisition of Moustakas and Scope. They haven't been able to get Scope going just yet. This one hit long and far right field, and this one all the way back for another home run today for Milwaukee. And Eric Kratz gets into home run swing with 2 down here in the 6th inning.
Long ball for the Brew Crew. Tuesday afternoon, wind blowing out. We touched on it here in batting practice earlier. The ball was flying out of Wrigley. 2 rough at bats early, a strikeout, and a bounce out into a double play in the 3rd inning. Makes up for that 1 swing of the bat. Jesse Chavez, you see, 2-seam fastball, inner 3rd down. Big swing of the bat, big run, 6-0 Brewers, top of the 6th.
First home run for Kratz since June 11th, and that was also against the Cubs.
Exit velo 102.7, another bullet. Just like Yoeli Chacin, good reflexes from Jesse Chavez.
Well, we've seen it a couple of times, but the Brewers played another on a home run, 6-0.
Life, great taste and only 96 calories. And by Toyota, let's go places.
Beautiful day, Navy Pier, downtown Chicago. The Brewers just north of that up at Wrigley Field is where we are in a 6-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, and Yoeli Chacin back out there. Today's Brewer starter tossing a shutout so far, and Chacin was able to beat the Cubs earlier this year 1-0, so he continues to work a little magic and obviously wants that to roll on here.
Big 6th inning here. Power part of the Cubs lineup. Baez, Zobrist, Jason Hayward. Feel a lot better about this one if Yoeli Chacin can work his way through this 6th inning.
Well, the Eric Kratz home run makes it a 6-run cushion, and this one hit hard into the gap. This one's going to make it all the way to the wall. First pitch hitting Baez. And Kane comes up with it, and a leadoff double for Chicago here in the 6th inning.
So you can see why the Cubs think that, and a lot of people in baseball think that Baez is in the conversation for NL MVP. Hanging breaking balls. Chacin has gotten away with a few of those early on. Second at bat for Javi Baez was called out on a breaking ball that was up in the zone. In attack mode there, and drives that one hops off the wall in left center field.
In the last 5 games, a slow starting offense for Chicago outscored 19-1 in the early frames, and the Brewers got him for 5 in the first 3, just added another one here in the 6th inning. So this is where Chacin's got to get into shutdown mode. Pitch count very good so far at 78 as he faces Ben Zobrist. Zobrist doubled back in the first. There's a strike from Chacin to even the count.
Well, that's really been his best friend all afternoon, that slow breaking ball. One of the things that makes Yoeli so good is he's so unpredictable. He'll throw that curveball, he'll throw that split fork ball anytime, any count, particularly 1-0, 2-1 counts. He's been able to throw that for strikes so far this afternoon.
Take a look at Baez out at second base. Here's the 1-1, just misses. Three hits allowed for Chacin in this game, and they're all doubles. Baez the latest as he's out at second base. 7 strikeouts for Chacin and a couple of walks. And falling behind 3-1.
I'd like to get right back into the count right here. Jason Hayward lurking on deck. He's turned his season around after a slow start. A good look at Javi Baez. Leadoff double here in the 6th for the Cubs.
3-1 on the way, and Zobrist just a tick and a foul the other way. 3-2 now.
You'll see that quite often with Chacin. That's a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. He's so unpredictable if you're Ben Zobrist. Nothing that Chacin has thrown this afternoon. Everything's moving, darting, dipping, cutting, sinking. We've seen some good sinkers. His curveball at times has been really good. The split change at times has been good. He's made good pitches when he's needed to, when he's been in trouble.
See if he can come up one right here to Ben Zobrist, the 3-2. And called strike 3. May have been just outside of the zone, and Zobrist very upset.
You don't see Zobrist get very animated this often. We'll get a good look at this. Was probably a good 2 inches off the plate.
And Joe Madden out. And Joe Madden gets tossed. Not surprised to see that. He usually doesn't come out and go back without an earful or a trip all the way back to his manager's office.
So he was quick to get out of the dugout to try to keep his player Ben Zobrist from getting tossed out. He's in a pretty heated conversation right now. He's going to definitely get his money's worth.
Bill Cuzzy's probably heard enough. The home plate umpire, he tosses Joe Madden. They're still going at it, though. And the fans here love Joe Madden.
See where the box is. This is the breaking ball back door. Comes around the outer part of the corner. I don't think this one ever gets any part of the plate. Chacin will take it as a big first out after the leadoff double by Baez. You can see the reaction from Zobrist. Has a pretty good idea of the strike zone. Give Phil Cuzzy some credit right there. He's letting Zobrist go ahead and vent, get some frustration out. Throws out Joe Madden, but Zobrist is able to stay into the game.
8 strikeouts now for Yoeli Chacin, and Zobrist still barking over there on the rail of the Cubs dugout. As Jason Hayward now bats. 1 down, runner in scoring position at second base for Chicago here in the 6th. First pitch, a cold strike on Hayward, drawing more boos. More than 40,000 on hand here at Wrigley this afternoon. The 0-1. There's another one hitting the outside corner. 0-2.
This pitch is a little bit better than the one that Ben Zobrist. This one just catches that outer corner of the plate. We've seen that more and more in 2018. That higher strike zone, that higher strike being called the strike. This is in a great role for a guy like Chacin that can move the ball up, down, in and out. Now you can go a couple inches either further in or off the plate.
And high inside. So far the Cubs 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position today. They've struck out 3 times. So you got to give Chacin a lot of credit for what he's been able to establish on the mound. Hayward calls time.
All the way back to the 2nd inning, a leadoff double by Ian Happ. Chacin able to work around that. No damage done. He's made big pitches all afternoon when he's had to make them.
And the 1-2. Ground ball into that shift. And Perez a strong throw. And there are 2 down as Baez advances to 3rd.
Hernan Perez sure getting his work in the field this afternoon. He's made some really nice plays. That's not an easy play when you're playing deep into that outfield grass. That ball can take some funky bounces going from the dirt onto the grass. Stayed down with it nicely.
It's his most natural position of just about everyone he's able to play on the field. He's got now 24 starts out there at second base this season. 7 starts at shortstop, though, in the span of the last month or so. 5 weeks for Perez. 2 down for La Stella. And it's a ball and no strikes. Chacin trying to close out this 6th inning. Drops one in to even the count.
A lot of different ways to go about pitching. You can overpower hitters. Chacin has used a variety of the breaking balls, backdoor breaking balls, split changeups, disguising that heater. He has a good one, 91 to 93, with good sink. That's kind of been his go-to pitch, the backdoor breaking ball. He's thrown some really good ones to Anthony Rizzo and Ben Zobrist. A kind strike for the first out of the inning on the 3-2 pitch to Zobrist, but that's really been his best friend to the lefties, the backdoor breaking ball.
And the 2-1 misses low, 3-1. .91 pitches so far for Chacin. Greg Counsell looks on from the dugout. Here's the 3-1. And this one right down the middle of the plate and hit right to Ryan Braun the other way for the final out. As Chacin and the Brewers shutting out the Cubs through 6. our Badger Mutual Insurance plays of the game. You got to go with the strikeouts for Chassin. 8 in all, Dan.
He's been really good. 6 scoreless innings. Did a little change of pace, speed up delivery. Breaking ball, a backdoor breaking ball, front door. He's been good. 8 strikeouts through 6 innings for Chassin.
And we have a nice video package of Chassin's strikeout right to him at the plate as he leads off the 7th inning. Wondered if we would see a pinch hitter here. 92 the pitch count for Chassin, and looks like he is slated to go back out in the 7th inning. Talk about that nice deep start, that all-important length for a starting pitcher. Today was the day to have it after the day off. You have your bullpen well rested as he strikes out.
It's about the only thing Yolis hasn't done well today. 3 at-bats, 3 strikeouts. Brewers will sign up for that, though. 6 scoreless. We touched on it earlier. One of the keys for the Brewers the last week to 10 days and moving forward, a little bit more length out of that starting rotation. Bullpen, one of the better bullpens in baseball, but have to give those guys some relief. They're going to need Jeffers. They're going to need Hader down the stretch. Hopefully Knebel can get things turned back around, and getting Joaquin Soria back off the disabled list will be big too.
Well, Craig Counsell mentioning today that Soria was not going to be a quick fix. It's going to be some time for him to work his way back. And obviously the Brewers still hoping he'll be back before too long, especially once we head into the month of September.
Have to be really careful. Those groin injuries can be something that can linger. And at times you almost have to protect the player from themselves. Most players, most pitchers will tell you they're okay, they're fine. Throw a time or 2 on the side, and the last thing you want to have happen is him to come back out and re-aggravate that and miss more time.
Outside to Kane, 2-2. Lorenzo Cain led off this game with a home run and set the tone for the Brewer offense against Jose Quintana.
Really shows you something about the character of this Brewer team. Tough series in Atlanta, particularly a Sunday game where you have 19 hits. You come away with a bitter taste. You leave, you get on a plane, have a day off. Would have been very easy to come here against a team like the Cubs that have been playing much better. Jose Quintana's had his way with the Brewers career-wise and has pitched very well this year. They flipped that script around, and 6-0 lead. Here we go, top 7.
Kane strikes out, and the Brewers bullpen trying to get a little stronger. Matt Elbers is our subject line as we set it down to Sophia.
Yeah, Matt Elbers has been struggling with his right shoulder. So Craig Counsell said that he left the team. He's out on a minor league rehab assignment in AA with the Biloxi Shuckers that are starting a 10-game homestand. So he will pitch tonight for Biloxi, and they're hoping it'll be more than 1 appearance for Elbers. They'll see how tonight goes, but again, Elbers will make more than 1 appearance there, so no timeline yet in terms of when he may rejoin the team.
Well, the good news is he's out on assignment. Here's Christian Yelich. Everybody trying to get a little bit healthier. The dog days of August, it's usually the injuries that step in your way.
The key right now is to get to the month of September when the rosters expand and you can go ahead and bring up 4 or 5 guys in the bullpen, and you have games that get out of hand. You don't have to go to your go-to guys, your high leverage guys. It makes it also difficult with a team like the Brewers. You're playing some opponents and you don't have much history on pitchers that are coming into the game, and they're able to play that matchup game from the 7th, 8th inning on. Makes it a little bit more difficult. And any player or pitcher would tell you the one thing that they do like is familiarity, knowing what a pitcher throws, how he throws it, when he throws it. The same thing from a pitching standpoint, where a guy stands in the box. Does he swing early? Does he cut down his strikes? Will he hit the ball to right field with 2 strikes? It's kind of that game within the game, which becomes a little bit of an unknown when the rosters expand in September.
Christian Yelich down a ball and 2 strikes, and he strikes out looking to end the 7th inning. So 3 strikeouts for Chavez. loge or terrace level ticket for the contest exclusively through the MLB Ballpark app. This special offer expires Thursday at 11:59 p.m. So be sure to log in to the Ballpark app and lock in your discounted seats before time is up. 6-0, bottom of the 7th we go. The Brewers lead the Cubs here at a sold-out Wrigley Field. They quieted this crowd. They've really never been in it, really, until Joe Madden got ejected. Arguing balls and strikes last half inning.
Well, we got here this morning at about 10:30. Came on the Brewers bus, walked out to watch batting practice. Ball was flying out. First batter of the game for the Brewers, Lorenzo Cain, hits a solo bomb. Then a Jesus Aguilar base hit and a Ryan Braun 2-run bomb, and just like that, it was 3-0 Brewers, and they haven't looked back since.
Big reason is on the mound. Ulysses Chacin works his 7th inning for Milwaukee here in this start. I mentioned he beat the Cubs back on June 13th at Miller Park. It was a 1-0 win for Chacin. 6 innings of shutout baseball, and a near duplicate here. He had 7 strikeouts in that one. He has 8 here. Looking for his first big league win in this ballpark.
Refreshing to see in a day and age where we're so concerned with gun readings and velo and spin rate. A guy that can go out there and mix his pitches. 3-pitch mix, not overpowering, good sinking fastball, good breaking ball, a couple of different arm angles, split changeup, 3 pitches. If you're sitting watching him, you have to give David Stearns and the Brewers staff a lot of credit for what they saw in Chacin to take a flyer on him in the offseason. There's the pitch that saved him all day. Backdoor breaking ball to the lefty. Schwarber doesn't like that call. Phil Cuzzy's been consistent most of the afternoon, giving a little bit off that outside corner with that breaking ball. That when you're consistent like Chacin has been, backdoor breaking ball might be a touch off the plate. Schwarber thinks it's way off the plate, similar to the call against Ben Zobrist. But when you're consistent in hitting that spot repeatedly like Chacin has done, the tendency is to get more of those calls.
9 strikeouts tie a season high for Ulysses Chacin. Really is pitching a beautiful ball game here at Wrigley. 5 of those strikeouts looking, by the way. What's that tell you most, Dan? You get the 5 strikeouts looking out of the 9.
He's unpredictable, and that's the thing that he has working for him. A lot of different arm angles. I call it, you have to slow a guy down to speed him up. You'll get a hitter, aggressive hitter like Contreras. You flip up a couple of breaking balls. They start looking for the breaking ball, and that 91 to 93 looks a lot more firm and velo, and a great play there by Christian Yelich too. So not only getting some swings and misses, but great defense from Perez, and a really nice play from Christian Yelich on that sinking liner.
Very solid defense here by Milwaukee in this ball game for their pitcher Ulysses Chacin. And here's another great example. Yelich knows exactly where he is, what route to take. Hit the ground sliding, and Chacin loves what he has seen behind him. Pitch count at 100 right now. He faces Elmora Jr., the pinch hitter.
Quick visit from Eric Kratz just to go over a report on what they'd like to do to Elmora. See the numbers on the year: 4 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Defensively might be the best option that the Cubs have in center field. They struggled there for a while on what they were going to do with center field. Kind of a glut of outfielders trying to get Schwarber's bat into that lineup. Jason Hayward's bat in that lineup, and Ben Zobrist. Difficult to move him around. Good job so far by Ulysses getting ahead. No balls and 2 strikes.
Elmora was hit by a pitch, one of 2 Cubs in that 9th inning comeback on Sunday. How about the way that one unfolded. With a hit batter, they get the second out, another hit batter, and then the grand slam by Cody. I should say Bodie.
Boy, in the season, it's just been one distraction and one setback after another for the Washington Nationals. A lot of people in the industry waiting for them to catch fire and make a serious run at the Braves and or the Phillies. It may not happen this year. David Bodie, 2 outs, 2-2 count, walk-off slam on Sunday night.
And another strikeout for Yoeli Chacin, his 10th. That is a season high for the Brewer hurler. And what a gem he has tossed here at Wrigley Field for Milwaukee so far today. Their fill in Atlanta of Acuna. And it's amazing the youth of baseball and the power we're seeing out of some of these hitters, including him. Head to the top of the 8th, and it's Jesus Aguilar. And check out Hernan Perez. It's almost 90 degrees here. And that little fan spritzer, you think he brought that to the ballpark himself? I think that's Sophia's, Dan.
It is. You know what? We saw that on the team bus on the way in.
Yeah, she was already putting it to work.
Like, Sophia, the bus is air conditioned. Come on.
Well, there's a little backstory here. So that fan actually came from SunTrust Park. Sunday afternoon, it was obviously very hot and humid in Atlanta. So I just brought it along. Might as well, right? A hot, humid day here. So if it works for HP, it works for me.
Absolutely. Well, we'd invite you up to our booth, but 2 things. No air conditioning and no room.
So that's a problem.
That's a problem. In fact, we may have to summon someone to bring that thing up here. Here we are in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field,
right?
my friend.
Cozy, it's
Come on,
baseball,
give me some elbow
right?
room. Aguilar leads off with a single to center field.
Big, strong guy. One of the things I marvel, bat control for this guy. Cuts down his swing with a couple of strikes. Hits to all parts of the field. Watch this. He's full. He's out on his front foot. He just kind of one-arms this. Big and strong guy. Looks into the dugout. That's why he's hitting in the high 280s and near 300 most of the season long. Has power, but also can put the ball in play. Terrific hitter and one of the more underrated players in the National League.
Jorge De La Rosa pitching for Chicago now, the former Brewer. So the single by Aguilar. Runner aboard, nobody out. Here's Ryan Braun. And every time Aguilar's been on base, Ryan Braun's hit a home run. That's 2 today. No Brewers ever had a 3-homer game at Wrigley. And Braun has his chance now.
I think you were saying earlier, the last Brewer to hit 3 home runs against the Cubs was Jeremy Burnitz at Miller Park.
That's right. That was at Miller Park back in 2001. By the way, that single by Aguilar with his 57th 2-strike hit, that's tied for 3rd in the National League. I mean, that's a separate story subject in its own. What an accomplishment for Aguilar. That's why he is such an incredible hitter, clutch. 16 of his home runs also with 2 strikes.
Fun guy to have on your team too. He plays the game, he enjoys playing it, smile on his face. He, along with Lorenzo Cain, bring a lot of energy to the ballpark every day. When you're going through a tough spell, particularly like this road trip started out in Atlanta, everything kind of stacked against the Brewers. Quintana's had his way. Lose a tough game Sunday. The Cubs win a big one on a 2-out grand slam in the bottom of the 9th inning. So they come into this one with a lot of momentum. Give credit to the Brewers, Craig Counsell. Ready to play this afternoon. Hot, muggy, steamy conditions.
Outside of one long losing streak, the Brewers have been pretty resilient all year. Here's the 1-2 to Braun, and he strikes out.
Little split finger hard changeup from Jorge De La Rosa. That's his bread and butter, his go-to pitch, particularly against right-handers.
There's De La Rosa, the former Brewer. The Cubs just picked him up after the Diamondbacks released him. 44th appearance on the season for De La Rosa.
There was a stretch there for a couple of years. He seemed to be the only one that could master pitching at Coors Field, a much better pitcher at home than he was on the road. Spent most of his career in the starting rotation. Now towards the back end of his career, he's found himself in that middle part of the bullpen.
Signed by the Cubs on Friday, and then Saturday made his Cubs debut at 4 strikeouts in relief. Arizona, like many clubs, surging in playoff contention again. And a lot of changes for a lot of clubs coming in the last 30 days.
We kind of saw that the way the game has gone in the free agent market this winter. The relievers were being plucked early and often. Trade deadline, a lot of teams, the Diamondbacks in particular, making moves to bolster their bullpen. The Brewers were fortunate. Their bullpen had been so good that they really didn't have to do much as far as tweaking the bullpen.
Little number to the pitcher, De La Rosa. There's 2 down. And Corey Knebel getting loose. We'll likely see him in the bottom of the 8th inning, coming out for Milwaukee with that 6-0 lead.
See Lee Tunnell kind of observing up and down. This is a spot. 6-0 game. If they could get Knebel into this game and get him going, the Brewer bullpen will be really good, in elite bullpen again if they can get Corey Knebel back on track. I think one of the things that made the Brewers so dangerous the first couple of months of the year, it was a race to try to have the lead because you knew that Knebel was lurking out there in the 9th inning and nobody wanted a piece of Josh Hader. And Jeremy Jeffress has been arguably the most underappreciated reliever, not only in the National League but in all of baseball. He's had a terrific year. A good bullpen will only be better if they can get Knebel back in high leverage.
And Moustakas to right, a base hit. Aguilar will be held at 3rd. And a 2-out single for the Brewer third baseman. Take a look at our Powerball home run leaderboard. And that number rises for Milwaukee. Jesus Aguilar with 29 on the season. Travis Shaw has 23. Today the Brewers have hit 4. Cain, Braun 2, and Eric Kratz. And it's interesting, Kane and Kratz, their first home run since the mid-June series against the Cubs. So Kratz 1 for 3 with that solo home run. First and third, 2 down here in the 8th inning. One and one now to the Brewer catcher.
One of the positives too, looking towards this for tomorrow's game, if Knebel's more than likely, since he's warming up, you would assume he's going to have the 8th inning. I know the Brewers like to use Josh Hader for more than 1 inning at a piece, so it'd be nice if they could really get through this game and not have to go to Hader or go to Jeffress and have them available for tomorrow's game. Really sets things up where you can go ahead and, I guess you would call it, like, go for the kill in this short 2-game set, or you could, if you have the lead going into the 5th or 6th inning, you could go ahead and unleash your bullpen.
Got Thursday off. Team moving their road trip to St. Louis. Won't start that series until Friday. First of a 14-game stretch against National League Central Division foes. The Brewers with a losing record in the division right now at 19-25. Greg Counsell knows how important it is to have a winning record in that division. That's only going to set yourself up for a playoff spot that much more. Kratz down the left field line. Fair ball all the way into the corner. Another run coming in. And Moustakas held at second, an RBI double for Kratz. 2 very good last 2 plate appearances for the Brewer catcher.
In a day when conditions were conducive to scoring runs, this could be really the decisive blow. After a couple of rough early at bats, third at bat hits the big home run and hits a bullet double that stays fair and bounces around down to that left field corner.
A 2-out RBI double for Kratz. 7-0 Milwaukee. Arcia on the first pitch. And there's your final out of the inning. The Brewers get another one though. 7.5 in the books, and the Brewers are out in front 7-0. His 2 home runs, 4 RBIs so far in this game, and it's imperative they keep him healthy for these 8 games remaining against the Chicago Cubs, because he has tore up Cub pitching, whether it's Wrigley Field or at Miller Park in his career. 35 home runs in his career against Chicago, 17 coming in this ballpark. So the Cubs bottom of the 8th. Ian Happ and Corey Knebel in relief. His 38th appearance out of the bullpen, and he's got a big cushion here to work with, a 7-0 Milwaukee advantage. And what a job by Yoeli Chacin. His 2nd start of the season against the Cubs that he has shut them out. His 2 wins against Chicago this year will be 17 innings and no runs. Today just 3 hits. They were all doubles. He had a season high 10 strikeouts. And Knebel a fastball for a strike. Swinging strike, 2-2.
Well, that's more like it. 97 miles an hour. Talk about big outings. Even though this is a 7-0 game, for Corey Knebel's mental state of mind, he could really use a solid 1, 2, 3 inning. I think the big issue has been locating. That's the curveball right there. From spending 18 years in the bullpen, I can tell you that there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. And when you struggle in that 9th inning, there you see that curveball grip, the tight rotation. Ian Happ buckles. That's the curveball that we saw most of last year and early on this season. Tight 4-seam rotation on that curveball. So much of this game coming out of that bullpen is mental, and you get into a point where things don't go well. You know, what's the fix? I don't know if there is a quick fix. I know this. You need to, when you come out of that bullpen, you have to have the mindset you're going to be one of 2 things. You're either going to hunt them or you're going to let them hunt you, that being the hitters. And it's so easy when things are going bad out of the bullpen to get into defensive mode. This Knebel that we're seeing right now, that fastball had some angry on it, and that's the way he needs to pitch. And you could throw on the side. There are a lot of really good 7 o'clock pitchers. There are a lot of great 5 o'clock batting practice hitters, but you need to do it when the game is on the line, and he's done it before. It's in there. He just needs to find it.
Rizzo shoots one the other way into the seats. A ball and 2 strikes.
When you start seeing defensive swings like that from Anthony Rizzo, the last 4 or 5 games, control has been an issue for Corey. You haven't seen a lot of swings and misses, but when you see a reaction to a curveball like that one, that tells you that the rotation on the curveball is good, it's nice, and it's tight.
Here's the 1-2. And again, another foul.
A defensive swing, 97 miles an hour. Last outing in Atlanta, he was 94, 95, and home plate was moving around on him. This is a big key, and I know that the Brewers are trying not to make a big point of this, but their bullpen, to get back to where they want it to be, they're going to need this guy to be a big part of that bullpen. Now, he may not have the 9th inning exclusively, but they need somebody else to help out Hader and Jeremy Jeffress, and this is the guy they're leaning on.
Well, with the talent out there, Dan, at least they're in that position. They had lost Corey Knebel earlier this year for nearly 2 months, more than 40 games, and they were able to find out who they are to a man out of that bullpen, and you have to believe that that helped everybody else, the Jeremy Jeffresses, the Haders blossom out in that bullpen.
Every good bullpen has to have a guy in the 9th inning that's reliable and dependable. You need 2 guys. You need one guy that's your troubleshooter guy to get that ball to that guy. But the rest of the bullpen, it's kind of like an alpha dog. There needs to be a lead guy out there. That's the guy that's going to take the heat in the 9th inning. And he's been that guy for over a year and a half, and he's kind of relinquished that spot right now. And I think one of the things that Craig Counsell would like to see, it's just such another weapon to have. What I'm really liking is the reactions here of the swings from Anthony Rizzo. He's been late on the fastball. A couple of curveballs that he's thrown, he's not had very good swings at. So the fastball's been good, the curveball has been nice, and the rotation has been really good so far.
What a battle here with Rizzo. Here's the 2-2, and again another one pulled foul.
This is when you just have to continue, if you're Corey Knebel, to not get frustrated. This is another good breaking ball. You see on top of that curveball right here, that rotation is like a 12-6. Very defensive swing from Anthony Rizzo. He hasn't had a good swing in this at bat yet. You can't get frustrated right now if you're Corey. You just have to continue to make good pitches.
8th pitch of the at bat against Rizzo coming up. Here's the 2-2. Get another one foul.
Best fastball he's thrown in the last 2.5 to 3 weeks. 98 miles an hour on the gun right there. That's what makes hitting so difficult when you're trying to catch up to that velocity and that good curveball that he has.
Knebel takes a long look at Kratz. Rizzo waits. Here's the 2-2. Outside 3-2.
Now the Corey Knebel that we saw last year when he's saving games, he's not afraid at all to throw the 3-2 breaking ball. I'm not sure that's the right pitch to throw in a 7-0 game, but that's the pitch when he's good. They're electing to go fastball again up on the zone.
And this one stays in play. Ryan Braun coming in. Makes the catch. 2 outs here in the 8th inning. A 10-pitch battle with Anthony Rizzo.
Love the game plan of attack there. 3-2 curveball right here. There you can see the grip on it. And that's when Corey Knebel's at his best. He's unpredictable. He'll throw that curveball 3-2. A great at bat. Anthony Rizzo was fighting and clawing the whole way. First 2 outs so far. Marked improvement for Corey Knebel. If he can get through this, confidence should be on the way back upwards.
There's Baez with 2 outs. Big hack on that fastball from Knebel. How about Rizzo today? Dan, he saw 29 pitches, 0 for 4. A lot of battles out there. Baez doubled his last time up in the 6th inning, but was stranded at 3rd. It was a leadoff double.
Corey Knebel we're seeing so far in the 8th inning is the Corey Knebel we saw most of the year last year. Attack mode, trusting his stuff and letting the ball go. He looks terrific.
And this is an outing with a nice lead like this that Craig Counsell says you want to put him in a position to succeed. That means going out there and getting your stuff back, working on your stuff and feeling confident again.
And having a good, clean, quick inning. You know, you can go out and throw a scoreless inning, a walk, a base hit, and you pitch yourself out of trouble and you walk away thinking that wasn't clean. If he can execute here, this would be a really clean 1-2-3 inning.
The 0-2. And Baez strikes out, and it is a 1-2-3 inning for Corey Knebel here in the 8th, including 2 strikeouts. And some big hitters as well as we head to the 9th, and Milwaukee enjoying the lead here at Wrigley. mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app and take Fox Sports Wisconsin and Brewers baseball wherever you go. 7-0 Brewers. We move to the top of the 9th inning. And a long conversation with Ben Zobrist and Phil Cuzzy, the home plate umpire. And Zobrist going back to the dugout with his bat and helmet. He was set to lead off here in the 9th. And not sure if he got booted or what was happening there. Zobrist was the on-deck batter. And some changes made for Chicago in their defense. So Russell in at short, Baez at second base now, and Zobrist was indeed ejected from the game. So that's very interesting. Scope the hitter now for Milwaukee, the pinch hitter. As you see, Russell now in at shortstop. Baez over at second base. And Scope, first ball, I should say on the 1-0, hits it down the left field line. So this is between innings. Zobrist was in the on-deck circle, and after the 1-2-3 inning came up and gets tossed.
I'll give Phil Cuzzy a lot of credit. He let him vent. The pitch that he called him out on, what's off the plate?
That was in the 6th inning.
6th inning. 3-2 pitch after the leadoff double. That was a big out for Yoeli Chassin. To give Phil Cuzzy credit, he let Joe Madden and Ben Zobrist vent a little bit. Eventually threw them both out.
So De La Rosa works his 2nd inning in relief, and he strikes out Scope to start the 9th. Joe Madden had been tossed out after that called strike 3 back in the 6th inning. And Zobrist just thought he'd get out there and have his final word. Down 7-0. Here's Lorenzo Cain, top of the order for Milwaukee. 2 for 4 for Lorenzo Cain. He had a home run back in the 1st. His first since the last time the Brewers played the Cubs in mid-June.
Couldn't have drawn up a better script if you were Craig Counsell. Coming off that rough series in Atlanta, particularly the Sunday game with the Brew Crew, 19 base hits. You walk away thinking, how in the world can you lose a game with 19 hits? They bounce back, come off the mat, and get just what we talked about in the pregame. A strong performance from Yoeli Chassin, 7 scoreless with 10 strikeouts, as good as he's been all season long, and he's been really good all year for the Brew Crew.
The Brewers trying to win their 18th game with Yoeli Chassin out on the hill. They would move to 18-8 if they can secure this 7-0 lead. That is a pretty nice record right there with the starting pitcher on the mound. This is the only afternoon game of the majors today. There's Keon Broxton, who is just called up from AAA Colorado Springs. He's in that Brewer dugout. Cain strikes out, 2 down.
Talking about Corey Knebel in a game filled with a lot of positives, right? Lorenzo Cain, Braun with the big day. Corey Knebel, even though it's a 7-0 game, big strikeout there of Ian Happ and Javi Baez. Looked really good, looked sharp, velocity was good, the curveball was good. Definite step in the right direction. I think if you're Craig Counsell, I'm not sure if they're going to run him back out. It might be nice to just let him have a nice clean 1-2-3 inning, feel good about himself.
And Yelich, the ground ball, and an infield single for Christian Yelich as Russell couldn't make the play. A little slow roller. And with that defensive shift, it works out in Yelich's favor. That's his first hit today.
This one kind of off the end of the bat, right? It's kind of been a little bit of a rough day. 3 ground outs. And fortunate part of having some good wheels and getting down the line. Stays away from a collar and at least able to collect 1 hit on the afternoon, 1 for 5.
Jesus Aguilar. He's been on base 3 times today and has scored 3 runs. A 2-out infield single by Yelich. He's at first. And the first pitch to Aguilar, a strike. 281 now in the season for Jesus Aguilar. He was hurting for hits and home runs right after that All-Star break. He had the home run derby, didn't get really a full break, and showed a little bit of fatigue, but it looks like he's getting that swing back right now. Not just the home run swing, but more importantly, the eye at the plate. Another 2-strike hit today for Aguilar. 57 on the season with 2 strikes. Says a lot about how far this guy has come in a short amount of time.
What he does, he brings a lot of length to that lineup. Big, strong guy. You take a look at him physically and you think that he kind of reminds you of a right-handed version of Cecil Fielder. Big, strong guy that can hit the ball the ballpark. Very soft hands, swinging the bat. Not afraid to hit the ball to right center field. Cuts his swing down with 2 strikes. You take a look at that lineup, the way it's put together today. Lorenzo Cain swinging a hot bat. Yelich has been swinging the bat well. Aguilar, Ryan Braun, big day. Hernan Perez, Mike Moustakas. This lineup is getting longer and longer and longer, and right at the right time too.
A lot of hits in that Brewer lineup today. Aguilar left field, just got under it. Schwarber with the out. And the Brewers are done here in the 9th inning. 7-0 Cubs coming up. Well, manager Craig Counsell was all smiles from the beginning of the game as the Brewers couple of home runs in the first inning, and they have not looked back. Hernan Perez defensively moves from second to first. Scope stays in and goes to second base for Milwaukee, and Dan Jennings, the lefty, now coming in out of the bullpen looking for the final 3 outs as Addison Russell will bat as Ben Zobrist was tossed last half inning.
Take a look at the year on Jennings. Fine ERA 3.23. He's another one trying to get that taste of Atlanta. Allowed the Ozzie Albies go-ahead home run Sunday afternoon in Atlanta. Just as Corey Knebel pitched a 1-2-3-8. It'd be nice to get him back on track also.
Brewers trying to close this out and get Yoeli Chacin another victory against Chicago, and his first in his career at Wrigley Field. He was 0-4 coming in. But boy, he pitched a gem today. 7 shutout innings and 3 hits allowed, all doubles, and that says something at all 3 of those doubles, and didn't allow any of them to come around.
Really good changeup there from Dan Jennings. Had Addison Russell way out front. What a day that was really tough conditions to pitch well in. Kudos again to Yoeli Chacin. 7 scoreless on a day when the ball's flying out of the ballpark.
Yeah, when you saw the ball leaving the Brewer bats in that first inning, you thought, well, it could be like an 11-10 game, 15-12. And what a job by Chacin on the mound.
Only 2 ballparks in baseball that I know of as a pitcher when you take a cab in or the bus. You look at the flags at Fenway, you look at the flags here at Wrigley. And if you're a reliever and you see those flags blowing out, kind of hoping maybe you can come up with a sore throat or step on a sprinkler head for the day, right? Could be some rough sledding. Take a look at it right there. This place could be the wrecker of a lot of baseball dreams.
Now the Brewers hoping to just draw closer day by day and win by win. They hang on here. They're back within 2 of Chicago in the division race. Big stretch coming up here, though. This is the final 3-city swing for Milwaukee. They were in position to take the series against Atlanta, and as Dan mentioned, couldn't pull out the victory on Sunday when they had the lead several times. They've got the Cubs here for 2 and then St. Louis this weekend for 3. And clearly the Cardinals have turned around their game over the last month since they fired their manager Mike Matheny. 17-9 since the managerial change. So one more tomorrow afternoon here at Wrigley. Another day off on the road on Thursday, and then those 3 in St. Louis, and then Cincinnati coming in. Another day off. You're going to see a lot of this for Milwaukee the rest of the way. This is one of the benefits. They played the most games in the league, and now they're in line to get some good days of rest for the bullpen, and maybe even for a guy like Ryan Braun, who hit the 2 home runs today after a day of rest.
One of the things you have to guard against, you take a look at Brian Braun, has had a terrific afternoon. 2 2-run home runs. Loves hitting in this ballpark. Look at that schedule and you see the games against the Reds, and that's a team you can't take lightly. Jim Riggleman has really turned that club around. You start playing those second division teams, they really have nothing to play for. They're playing all loose and carefree, and you look at Craig Counsell right there. You look at the Reds, 17 games back, 15 games under 500. Pirates made a couple of moves, acquired Chris Archer at the trade deadline. And the much improved Cardinals, 9 games over 500. So this NL Central starting to bunch up a little bit.
Long at bat, good battle by Russell, but he loses it to Dan Jennings after 10 pitches. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap tomorrow, Junior Guerra against Kyle Hendricks. And if the Brewers could have put 2 better pitchers going up against the Chicago Cubs, lining up Chacin and Guerra, Derek Johnson, the Brewer pitching coach, and Craig Counsell did just that. As Guerra gets set to go tomorrow, both these pitchers have had success against the Cubs, and Chacin shining through here in the first game. Now it's going to be up to Guerra tomorrow.
It's amazing how one game can skew some numbers. You looked at the career lifetime numbers, Jose Quintana against the Cubs, and all of a sudden you drop a 6 spot, 6 earned runs for a guy that's really had his way pretty much with the Brew Crew. That's why sometimes it's so difficult to plan anything in the game of baseball. You just never know what you're going to get You often hear that expression about momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Cubs coming off that big win on Sunday night, the David Bodie walk-off grand slam, bottom of the ninth, 2-ball, 2-strike count. Everything going in their favor. A guy that's pitched well against the Brewers. I think it was so key early. Kane with the solo home run, then Aguilar with a 1-out base hit, and the Braun 2-run home run, and just like that, it was 3-0 Brewers, and they kind of had their way so far in this one.
Hayward to Braun and left, and there are 2 down here in the 9th inning. Well, with Guerra going tomorrow, how about these numbers against the Cubs? 1-1 with a 1.74 in 8 career games, 5 of those starts. And this season, he hasn't had the luck for the victory side. He's 0-1, but his ERA 1.50 in 2 starts this season, just giving up 2 earned runs in 12 innings pitched. Another guy that was not on the opening day roster, but quickly was called up just a couple of weeks into the season. And Junior Guerra has been very steady, looking up to even up that record. He's pitched well, a lot of no decisions as some leads have slipped away after he's left.
On top of that, you have this 1 game left with a day off on Thursday. Your Craig Counsell, you were able to stay away from Jefferson Hader. You can turn this into a 6-inning game if you'd like tomorrow with a day off on Thursday.
To short, and there it is. The Brewers a winner here at Wrigley Field to open up this 2-game series against their division rivals as they pick up a full game against the Cubs. They are now 2 games behind in the Central Division race. Ryan Braun with 2 of Milwaukee's 4 home runs in this game, and they put the bat to the ball and chased Jose Quintana like they've never done before, and come out with the 7-0 victory.
A lot of positives this afternoon. Kane with the solo homer, Braun with the 2-run home runs. Eric Kratz, Corey Knebel was great. 1, 2, 3, Dan Jennings, and the star of the game, Willie Peralta. 7 scoreless innings with 10 strikeouts. Nice way to stay after a day off on Monday.
And our final note, Yoeli Chacin, the 2nd Brewer ever with 10 strikeouts or more and no runs allowed at Wrigley for a Brewer pitcher. Mike Fiers did it 4 years ago today. Let's send it out to Dario Melendez.